After decades of internal conflict, Somalia is at long last beginning to enjoy a measure of stability. Over the past 2 years, construction has boomed, new businesses have opened, and Somalis who'd left have returned. But its internationally backed government still faces innumerable challenges in rebuilding the country. Juliana Rufus has been to find out how that process is going and whether political compromises are undermining its effectiveness.
Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. These African Union peacekeepers are tasked with protecting the country's president. They are on their way to take him to parliament. We've been invited to come too.
Wow. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you again.
Well done.
Okay.
The fighting may be over, but it takes a convoy with heavily armed vehicles to keep the president safe.
We're not passing on the main road, but this is the side route. From state radio, then we enter parliament. We are not in parliament.
More safe.
More safe. Here is order of security.
Attacks are still frequent. Back in 2007, the African Union mission, known as AMISOM, was deployed to Mogadishu to overturn the rule of Islamic militants known as Al-Shabab. After bitter fighting in 2010 and 11, Al-Shabab retreated to other parts of Somalia. AMISOM's capture of the city allowed Somalia's first internationally recognized government in 2 decades to be formed. Now, 2 years on, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is reopening parliament. Security is intense. The buildings still bear the scars of an attack 8 weeks earlier, when gunmen and suicide bombers killed civilians and injured MPs. Al-Shabab may have lost control of Mogadishu, but they're still able to launch assaults on parliament at any time. Inside, the ceremony is underway. MPs here weren't elected, but chosen by traditional elders from the ranks of Somalia's clans. The hope is that fiercely competing interests will be reconciled within a federal system. But it also means that politicians can have conflicting loyalties, national unity against the interests of their clans. Over the last few months, criticism of the Somali government has intensified, and it's really under pressure now to deliver results. The president's speech focuses on successes. But Somalia still faces huge problems. Security must be restored, the battered economy needs developing, and the confidence of international donors must be won. At night, we go to see the president at his villa. How can you overcome clan allegiance and create loyalty to a central government?
Scarcest commodity we have is the trust. How can we build the trust? Trust among the different groups of the society and trust towards the state. Now, it all depends on how the nascent state institutions succeed to bridge this type of gap within the society and between the society and the government.
Rebuilding Somalia is proving to be a massive task. We're here to find out how that process is going and whether the government's political compromises are undermining its effectiveness. On the surface, normality has returned to Mogadishu. The new government was greeted with euphoria, and over the past 2 years, construction has boomed, the diaspora has returned, and new businesses have opened. But public buildings like our hotel remain heavily secured. Mustafa Duhulo, the government's new Minister of Information, has come to meet us. Duhulo has a bulletproof car, and we have hired an armed escort. Foreign journalists and politicians remain at risk from Al-Shabab. This year alone, 3 MPs have been killed. Duhulo says being a politician is an act of defiance.
We know the problems could happen anytime when we go to restaurants, when we go to local shops, when we go to mosques, wherever we go, but we still want to take risks to show that actually the government can actually deal with Shabab, yeah.
We're being taken to the government compound known as State House. But for security reasons, we aren't told why. To get in, we have to go through a series of heavily armed checkpoints.
So far we've passed, to be here, we've passed 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th one, and we still have 2 more.
The compound has been a special target of Al-Shabab attacks. These men on the ground in army uniforms are dead militants who infiltrated security and got past the gates. When eventually defeated, captured fighters were paraded on state television and then executed. Inside, we're met by Ali Omar, the president's chief of staff.
Okay, so where do we go?
We go to the airport.
Yeah, no, sorry, I mean...
Stay here, stay in the car. They are coming right now, just we'll move.
The presidential convoy is racing to a meeting with the US State Department delegation. So we've got 3 cars with diplomatic number plates in front of us. One of them contains the president, but we don't know which one, and they're constantly switching positions. Because of Al-Shabaab's links with Al-Qaeda, America is heavily invested in Somalia. Visiting US dignitaries avoid coming into Mogadishu for fear of attacks, so the president has to meet them at the airport. We get 5 minutes with him before the Americans arrive. Can you tell us a little bit more what the meeting this morning will be about?
There has always been a dialogue and discussion going on with the United States. The United States traditionally is a major supporter of Somalia in the state building and the reconstruction of Somalia. They wanted to get acquainted with the situation and the progress in Somalia.
But as the Americans arrive, we're asked to leave. The discussions are too sensitive.
President, how are you? Very good to see you.
We find out later that the US is impatient with the slow pace of Somalia's nation building. President Hassan has to handle the Americans carefully. Completely dependent on foreign aid, this is one powerful supporter he cannot afford to lose. Then, unexpectedly, Somalia's Prime Minister Abdiweli Sheikh Ahmed arrives with his own armed guards. The airport is now awash with different security forces. So the Prime Minister didn't actually know that the meeting between the US delegation and the President was taking place. He came here to use the VIP lounge because he's traveling to Baidoa today. The confusion supports rumors about the strained relations between the President and Prime Minister. Both represent major clans and have been testing the limits of each other's power, at times pushing the country to the brink of a constitutional crisis. But it's clear communication across the administration could be improved. Then we're invited to follow the president again as he meets foreign investors. Building Somalia's economy is a government priority. The country needs to generate income.
The transport minister is just briefing the president about the construction of the new terminal now.
Most Western companies are still too afraid to come into Somalia, but Turkish businesses are filling the gap. One of them is modernizing the airport. Some of Turkey's most prominent businessmen are seeing an opportunity.
I'm just telling Bora that last time when we met the president in his office, we said you promised that on the 15th of September you will see the shape of the terminal. But still, today is the 14th.
Inshallah.
I know it was not without difficulty and without problem, but I'm glad his persistence and insistence on investing in Somalia under these circumstances. That's highly appreciated, and we always recognize that level of contribution.
There clearly is money to be made here, and the contract to manage Mogadishu's seaport has gone to a Turkish company too. In return, the government will receive 55% of all proceeds. But not everyone is happy with the deal. Protesting port workers have asked us to come and see them.
Can you tell me, why did you want us to come and speak to you?
Annagu waxaan haynay xoogsatada dekada Muqdisho, iskaashatada xoogsatada dekada Muqdisho annagu haynay. Tiradayna waxay ahaday 5311 oo isugu jira xamaali iyo weeshwada iyo tiriye.
They tell us that thousands of jobs are at risk as new machines are being brought in. It's Somalia's largest labor dispute in over 2 decades.
We are about 200 people with crane operators. I'm crane operator. We are 200. They said we only need 4 from these 200. And I don't think that will be fair. That's not fair. Turkish good people, but this company, they are fighting us. Just enough from our works. We need our rights from the government. We are supporting the government.
In Somalia, a labor dispute like this has the capacity to spiral out of control.
The police already stopped us filming at the port, so we don't know what's going to happen now.
Don't film anything, yeah? Don't film them, yeah?
What happens in Mogadishu port has become a matter of controversy. A UN report alleges corruption and says that the government can't account for a third of the income from the port. Back in the hotel, we try to follow up on news that parliamentarians opposed the Turkish seaport contract because no other bids were invited. But when I attempt to contact MPs to find out more, not one of them returns my calls. Change in Mogadishu is underway, but for Somalia to become a country again, the government has to extend its reach outside the capital. The administration's goal is the creation of a federal system with regional states under a central government. We're told the president will be traveling to one of the new states, Jubaland, on the border with Kenya. We arranged to go ahead of him to get to know the situation on the ground. The regional capital, Kismayo, was a major Al-Shabab stronghold until Kenyan forces crossed the border in 2012 and pushed the militants out. We've arranged to visit the newly created Interim Jubaland Administration, or IJA. Its leader is Kenya's local ally, warlord Ahmed Madobe.
So we've arrived just in time for the cabinet meeting, and they've just given us permission to film it.
Just like the central government, these representatives have been chosen by local clan elders.
So how will Parliament work? Will all the regions in Jubaland be represented?
Our region is 3 regions as Jubaland. We have 15 districts. We divided. Each district we have given 4 to nominate 4 parliamentarians.
Have all the local regions agreed to participate in local parliament?
They agreed mostly. I say maybe still around 7 districts that are still under control of Al-Shabab, but we need to liberate for this coming days, inshallah.
The reality is, not all clans have come on board, and Al-Shabab still control parts of Juba.
Next plan is that we're going to go and visit the port, Kismayo port. And,
Minister of State House Abdigani Jama offers to give us a tour. Al-Shabab still control roads in and out of Kismayo, and business people are scared to use them. The port is a major source of income, but today it lies quiet.
This port, it requires some sort of renovation as part of improving the infrastructure of IGA here at the airport and the airport. Our aim also is to create jobs, because if you see here in Jubaland, majority of the people are under the age of 29, almost more than 70%. So it's kind of ticking bomb, actually.
Al-Shabab pay unemployed youth up to $200 a month to fight. But rehabilitating the youngsters is not just about giving them income, it's also about ideology.
Most of these younger ones, they used to be a part of Al-Shabab. Through discussion, negotiation, convincing, they have now come back and integrated with the normal life of the people of Jubaland. For example, Abdullahi used to be a leader of the team of Al-Shabab, and then now he came back. He's now fighting with that ideology on the side of the government.
maamulka laftiisa waa in uu fahmo dadkan nimankan argagixisa la dhahaa argagixisa macnaheedu waxa weeye qofka in la dilo la yiraahdo waan ku dilaynaa la ruuxdi geliyo la argagax geliyo la yiraahdo waa lagu gowracayaa waa lagu qarxinayaa dadkan shacabka waa in lagu abuuro kalsooni ay laftoodu qofka nabadda diidan ku soo sheegi karaan oo kula dagaalami karaan oo ay kalsooni u hadli karaan hadda aniga hadlaya oo Al-Shabab ka hadlaya dad baa ila yaaban oo la naftaadii wada halaagtay.
But not all conflict here is about Al-Shabab. How to redevelop the Juba economy is causing tension too. The regional states will be reluctant to share their income with the central government unless they'll get something in return. Businessman Yassin Yama Ismail explains.
It must not be that the winner takes all. We want equitable distribution of the wealth of the country. We don't deny anybody or the central government to have a piece of what we get. And we want something in exchange for what they get also. And we don't want a domination of one region on the other.
In the coming years, the stakes will rise. Somalia is believed to have large undeveloped oil reserves, especially in Juba. And the regional administration will become a powerful player. Back in Mogadishu, the president's preparations for his own visit to Juba are well underway. He will attend a reconciliation conference aimed at bringing competing warlords into the federal system. In his waiting room, we find Bara Hirala, another warlord from Kismayo, from a clan opposed to Jubaland's current leader, Ahmed Madobe. To stop Hirala from derailing the state-building process, the president must win him over.
انت مدحتنا انت كوريسين انت كوريسين مرنا على قسماي ملحان كو اني سيادتي ولي بعد حنانتي
Again, we asked to wait outside. There's bargaining to be done over what rewards Hirala's men will get in return for giving support. When we are invited back in, it seems some progress has been made.
We want to make a long process that starts with reconciliation and then followed by administration building as an interim administration that's now emerging from different parts of Somalia. And now we are preparing for the final get-together.
So is it successful from everybody's side?
You can ask Abdi, what would you like to say on that question?
We hope that we can attain peace through this process, that everybody should be considered as an important element in the area. Thank you.
And it was a very successful meeting, I'm telling you. It was very great. It was good.
But something must have gone wrong. A day later, Hirale announces his inability to attend the reconciliation due to a clash in dates. The time has come for the president's trip to Juba. 3 planes with parliamentarians, diplomats, government officials and security personnel are traveling to join the opening of the conference. Ahmed Madobe is ready and waiting to receive the president. The Juba region is home to a large variety of clans. If reconciliation is achieved here, it will give hope to the rest of Somalia.
No media, zero, Judge.
Security is on high alert. An attack on this high-profile event would be a terrible setback for the government. The road from the airport into town is in complete lockdown. It's known for roadside bombs. This time, Sierra Leonean soldiers protect us.
It's quiet?
Come on, quiet now, as for now.
What about Al-Shabab?
Al-Shabab, we come on and off.
On and off?
Yes, not all the time.
Only special forces from Mogadishu are allowed inside the hall. The UN, the EU and the Arab League have all sent observers. Over the past weeks, they have met with the major players to make sure the reconciliation will go ahead. But warlord Bara Hirale has stayed away. The ceremony is about to start without him.
Are you worried about the fact that Bara Hirale isn't here?
After some time, we hope that everybody will join and will come on board.
Does that mean this is the beginning of a process?
Yes. It will go about a month and a half.
For now, this is Ahmed Madobe's moment. The president joins Ahmed Madobe on stage. It's becoming clear that Somalia's future turns on whether warlords can be changed into politicians. But the government must also be seen to give real power to the regions. There is a danger that regional clan interests will try to hijack power in the federal system. The central government is distrusted, and accusations of corruption in Mogadishu's institutions haven't helped. But despite everything, there are signs that Somalia is improving, albeit slowly. Having to cut deals may make for imperfect progress, but after 20 years of conflict, it would be naive to expect anything else. Few other governments are up against such challenges, and Somalia is running out of options.